Hi everyone, welcome back to A Sky Full of Stars, Saya's Route, Episode 7. So Saya's desperate because she lost her luck charm, and without it, she can't meet Akito. And she's been searching for it for so much that it's starting to irritate Korona. So she's looking in the bushes, the pathways, even at night. And I'm not sure if Korona is tired of Saya or she's worried. But anyways, Korona goes to Akito and Hikari for help. Like, come on, help Amagawa-senpai. She's gone crazy. And she's at my place if you want to go see her. So now that Akito and Hikari know where Saya is, they're going to try to dig Saya out and explain to Saya how the mom really feels about Akito. So Saya's mom is okay with Saya going with Akito. It's like, well, I know him very well and he's not a bad person. And it also explains why the mother is okay with Saya making Oden and delivering it to Akito in the beginning when Akito was in the dumps. So that was the time when Akito was camping and living at the club room the astronomy club room for Hoshin Daiichi. And now that Hikari is going to execute the action, so I'm going to go and find Saya. She bumps into Takeichi and she reveals to Takeichi that the friend turns out to be Saya. And in return, it looks like Takeichi is going to explain the story about what happened with Saya and Akito while she was gone. So the point of when Saya started talking to Akito was after his grandfather passed. So Take talks as if he is remembering a sunset from long ago.
なんか気難しいじいさんだったらしいけど、アキトにとっちゃ唯一の肉親で家族だった。相当へこんでたよ、あいつ。それでも強がってたけどな。
So Take lowers his voice as he changes topics. So when things got personal, Akito tended to hold things in and not ask for help. And it must have been hard for his friends, watching Akito be depressed but act like he's okay. And not accepting any help.
その頃だよ。またあの二人が話をするようになったのは。いつの間にか話すようになってて、よく一緒にいるのを見かけるようになった。最初はかなりぎこちない感じだったけどな。何がきっかけでまた話すようになったのかは知らねえけど、アキトのやつがだんだん立ち直っていってるのは見ててわかった。
Well, I'm sure that happened when Hikari came back.
それが俺たちが1年の春頃、以後今に至る。俺が知ってるのはそれだけだ。
そう。
So I stayed quiet as I let everything that Take said sink in.
ありがとう、聞かせてくれて。
So now that I thought about it, I had heard Akito talk about losing his grandfather sometimes. So even though the grandfather was very harsh and crude towards Akito, when he was about to die, he actually appreciated that Akito was there for him, helping him take care of him, or Akito taking care of the grandfather in his last years of life. So he kind of jokingly talked about it, so it showed that he is able to talk about it cheerfully now. And if I remember, what happened after that was that Akito had to move in with his relatives, and he didn't really get along with them very well, and that's why he decided to live at the school. So I don't know what it was like to lose your home, or even a family member. And I didn't know how Akito really felt about things any more than I know about Saya.
そういや、前に天の川に聞いたことがあるんだ。お前ら付き合ってんのかって。そしたらあいつ、アキトには他に好きなやつがいるって言ってたな。でも今あいつら付き合ってんだよな。
So I think that's what Aki or Saya felt. And it's because, well, he never read or he never came to answer the love letter. So that meant that he had someone else in mind. And I'm sure back then Saya didn't know who that other person is. So he nods as he looked over to me.
ま、俺はどっちでもいいけど。
So we didn't have anything else to talk about. So we walked in silence all the way to Takei's house. Okay, so let's see how Saya reacts when she finds out Hikari is here. So I searched for my charm on my way home from school today, but I did not find it. And it's not coincidence that I lost the charm.
神様のお告げなのかも。
So maybe it's fate or destiny. Or maybe I'm being told to forget about Aki and use my efforts to light up the night. Or like Aku. Well, I need to atone for my sins. So I was bad. I fought with my mother and I ran away. So I made a small fist with my hand. And there is nothing there though.
光の方がお似合いだよ。
So maybe Hikari's better for him. So Aki has started looking at the stars again because Hikari came back. So he didn't really do much to help him. And I know that if that was to be wanted, then it was for the best. So wait, why are you talking, Hikari? So this is between Aki and me. So the time when Saya yelled at both of them. So I was being bad, I yelled at them, and now this is what I have to deal with. And I said some pretty horrible things to Hikari. And I kept reimagining it, hating myself.
穴があったら埋まっちゃいたよ。ねえ、ちょっといい？
Can I come in? Says Korona. Korona enters and I hastily cover my eyes.
何かな？
So what is it?
ごめん。
So Korona suddenly claps her hands together and faces me. So why sorry?
コロナのこと、裏切り者とか密告者とか好きに罵ってくれていいから。どうしたの、コロナちゃん。
I heard somebody climbing up the stairs as I started to talk. It's like, well, I broke my promise, but this is for the best.
でも今はドローさせていただきます。
So I'll just leave it here.
ドローンって。
So Korona covers her face as she leaves the room, making a lot of noise.
逃げなきゃ。
So what happened? So what's going to happen? I quickly look around the room. I didn't have time to think, so I opened the window and climbed out. So I gotta make an escape. I think something bad's gonna happen and I have to get out. So I put my feet on the eaves right below the window, and as I held onto the window frame, I turned to the side and slip. So I think Saya is about to slip out the window or fall out. And at perfect timing, Hikari grabs Saya from behind without her noticing.
本当にバカ！何やってんのよ、あんたは！ごめんなさい。自分の運動神経の鈍さ知ってるでしょ？何度も落ちそうになって、私とアキトに助けてもらったの忘れちゃった。
So, you know, you've always slipped and fell a lot in the past, and I shook my head.
それにあんたそれスカートじゃない。はしたないでしょ。
And this time it looks like you were doing it on purpose.
ごめんなさい。ほんと、思い詰めるととんでもないことやらかすんだから。
So I sat down, hard looking at the floor. Hikari had saved me with the slightest of margins from falling off the roof. And I'm so embarrassed that I could not look up. So Hikari-san was right. I am a giant idiot.
ごめんね、光。
Well, I'm sorry.
もういいって。
Well, it's okay.
この前、ひどいこと言って。
So Hikari went silent, and I could not raise my head up out of fear this time.
あんなこと言うつもりじゃなかったの。でも、あの時はお母さんのことで怒ってて、それで。
Okay, so Saya's revealing what really happened between her mom and her.
とっさに出た一言って、要は本音ってことよね。めちゃめちゃ傷ついた。
So it must have hurt a lot. So I cried as I apologized. So it is regretful and pathetic. So many emotions are jumbled up and the tears just flooded out.
全部私のせい。私があーくんを好きになったから。
So me being with Akun has caused so much trouble.
だから光はあーくんにわざと冷たくして喧嘩して、あとはバラバラになっちゃって。
And just because, so I started the whole mess. I wrote the love letter and
星を見ない天文部員になっちゃった。
so that's right. So I was the one who destroyed Hikari and Aki's relationship and all of ours as well. So it's more like, well, I started liking Akito and I really wanted to be with him, or like Akun, and then Hikari was trying to help Saya and eventually led to the breakup. And
それなのに私、まだあっくんが好きで急にキスしたりして。
it's like, well, if I was never in the picture, then you two would have went along normally.
せっかく光が戻ってきてまたうまくいきかけてたのに。なのに私はあっくんや光に友達って思ってもらう資格なんてないの。この間光に言っちゃった言葉みたいに、私は3人のことより自分のことばかり考えてる悪い子だから。
So everything that I had been holding in, I just let it out all at once. So Hikari just listened as I let everything go with tears in my eyes.
言いたいことはそれだけ？
So is that it? So I silently nod. So I shamefully began to shake when I tried to speak. And then Hikari says,
それは嘘だよ。
but no, that's all a lie. So I look up as she clearly says this.
聞こえなかった？そんなの嘘だって言ったんだよ。
So once again, those are all lies. Hikari frowns at me as she laid the journal right in front of me. So wait. Okay, so Hikari shows Saya the journal that she's been working on by herself.
それが証拠。反論ある？
So I blank out.
こんなの証拠にならないよ。
Well, it's just a journal.
なるよ。
So Hikari didn't waver at all. He seemed certain what she was saying.
言ってやろうか。あんたがどんな気持ちでこのスケッチをつけてたか。私、昨日の夜この観測記録を何度も見たよ。ただ定点から星の配置を記録しただけのスケッチ。どんな気持ちでさやがこれをつけてたのか、一生懸命。これは記録で、そこから読み取れる情報といえば星の配置、見え方、それから数。
Alright, let's see. I went a little fast, so...
ただ定点から星の配置を記録しただけのスケッチ。どんな気持ちでさやがこれをつけてたのか、一生懸命考えたけど全然わからなかった。
Okay. So the information on my notes is only data. It's only capable of showing objective facts and nothing more. I had done my best to make the journal free of my personal emotions or feelings.
でも何度も何度も繰り返し見てて気づいたの。さやと同じ気持ちになってた。
So even though it's all like objective evidence or facts, the fact that Saya went through all of this to make these drawings, that proves otherwise.
私と同じ気持ち。
And if you remember, Saya has so many journals of this, and they span about 5 or 6 years.
年々星が減っていってた。最初の年の記録と今年の記録を見比べたらびっくりするくらいに。
So by putting all these drawings together, it paints a picture of a timeline showing how stars have been disappearing every year.
焦りや喪失感やなんかもういろいろ込み上げてきてすごく辛い気持ちになったよ。さやもそうだったんじゃないの？
So I didn't reply, but that was answer enough.
このスケッチはあんたが私たちと一緒に見てたあの頃の星空を大切にしてくれてる証拠だって私は思ったんだ。
So it's like, well, doesn't this show that you like to go back to the old times?
間違ってる。
So tears stream from down my face again, and they are warmer than before, tears so hot that I could feel their warmth.
それはない。光の言った通り。
So as I answer, Hikari looks relieved. And she seems to so sure of her ideas, but she really isn't so confident. Maybe it's just she or like her wistful thinking that she was imposing on me. Well, either way, she's on point.
光がいなくなった。しばらく私星を見てなかった。星を見るのは楽しかったけど、それよりもあっくんや光と一緒に何かするのが楽しかったから。だから二人がいないのはもう興味もないって思ってた。でもある夜ふと空を見上げて気がついた。星の数が減ってるって。
Okay, so even Saya can sense that something is happening, so the stars are disappearing. So that was half a year after Hikari had moved away. And they began construction of the dam, and everybody had relocated out of Mikazuki submerged zone. And a lot of construction equipment and vehicles began to come, and the town began to change little by little with more stores and streetlights. And that's when it happened. So when I glanced at the night sky, I noticed that the stars looked different than what I remembered.
思い出が色あせていくような怖さを感じて、私スケッチに書き留めたの。
Okay. It's like, well, after the reconstruction and the modernization, so streetlights, more stores, that's when Saya could realize that something has also changed in a bad way.
これ以上何もなくしたくなくて、忘れたくなって、大事な思い出だったから、パックンと光と星を見てたことは。
So I drew them so they won't be lost forever. But I didn't stop at drawing.
大切にしてくれてたんだね。私たちの思い出を。いつもそうだよ。引っかき回したり壊しちゃったりするのは私の方。さやはフォローしてくれたじゃない。忘れたの？惑星観測ノートを破いちゃったのは私とアキトだよ。
It's like, well, Saya, you're good in your ways too, so you're the one who brought us together. So after we had a fight about being deceived and the journal being destroyed, Saya was the person who fixed it up and gave it to Miharu Sensei, and then Miharu Sensei later gave it to Akito.
さやはそれをテープでつなぎ止めてくれた。元通りにしようって必死になってくれた。
There you go.
それは私のせいで二人が。
And that was a pretty interesting piece of history that they were able to present to the Six Stars Club. So the previous one, the one with Orihime in it. So Hikari silently shakes her head. Like she is saying, I was wrong.
私の方こそごめん。さやに悲しい思いばかりさせて。そんなこと。私にはあの頃みたいな星空を取り戻したいなんていう資格ないのかもしれない。違うよ、そうじゃない。
Well, I disagree vehemently. So I couldn't look at Hikari in the eye, so I looked down and hid my face behind my long hair.
言ったでしょ。私が光に言ったひどい言葉は。うん。私の中には二人の私がいる。一人はハッカと光と三人の関係に戻りたがってる私。もう一人はハックが好きで他のことなんか目にも入らない自分勝手な私。嫌になるよ。思い出が大事だとか言いながら自分のことしか考えてないんだもん。
So Hikari's a close friend, and I didn't even want to hurt her. But at the same time, I'm also jealous.
私、アキトのことが好きだよ。けどね、やっぱり私は3人で楽しくってのがいいな。お口間なんだろうね。
So, despite our romances, I still want us three to be together. So she laughs like it is funny.
だから、さやの恋を応援したい。それは、あの頃のままだよ。でも、そんなの。大体さ、私らがどう思ってたって、誰と付き合うか決めるのはアキトだよ。あいつだけ決定権持ってるってのは、 なんかちょっとムカつくけどさ。
So Hikari reaches out her hand and grabs my hand and stands up. So light from the sunset enters the room from the window and illuminates Hikari's mature figure with a golden light. So I look at the almost glowing Hikari and thought of her like a goddess.
私たち3人にはブランクがある。親友に戻るにせよ、戻らないにせよ、それを埋めてからじゃないと始まらないよ。まずはあの日かけ違えたボタンをかけ直さないとだね。
So Hikari is reaching out for something as she says this. So the love letter.
アキトがサヤに渡してくれって。どういう意味かよくわかんないんだけど。
So I took it completely bewildered. Well, I didn't really understand Akito's true intentions either.
それから伝言。サヤのなくしたもの、絶対見つけるからって。お守りをなくしたんだって。ねえ、そんなに大事なお守りなの？あいつね、なんか気づいてるみたいだったよ。そのお守りがサヤにとってどう大切なのか気づいてた。
So he knows about my charm. So look at the envelope in my hands and whispers.
聞いても教えてくれないんだ。ねえ、どういう意味なの？それは。
Well, it's a secret.
もう、二人だけずっこい。
Okay, well, I'll respect that it's a secret, but it's kind of bad that I'm out of the loop. So I wasn't entirely certain that Aku had actually realized what it was or not. So if he did realize what it is, if he did find it, then I might get back what I lost. And it is my treasure.
それから、サヤのこの星空のスケッチ、しばらく借りてもいい？
So anyways, I would like to borrow these sketches for another project that's even bigger than this.
いいけど。
Okay.
ありがとう。これでどうにかなるかもだよ。プロジェクトスターライトがさ。
And I'm sure Saya knows about what's happening based on Korona's updates. So Korona has said things that had gone off the rails a bit. Okay.
私は私にできることを頑張る。必ず明るい夜を取り戻すよ。そしたらそこからまた始めよう。私たち3人を。
So Hikari is so dependable as she talked that I stopped crying. Okay, so now Saya feels better. Okay, so I think for Akito, he's helping Saya find her luck charm. And that's why he has Kotaro out. Well, so any luck? No? Kotaro shakes his head sadly. Okay, so not here either. So I wiped the sweat from my head. I had tried to act cool as I had spoken to Hikari. So tell Saya if I find it, or I'll find it no matter what. So me and my big mouth. Well, this isn't good. So it'll be really embarrassing if I don't find it. So I'm being too confident about being able to find this luck charm. And I would disappoint Saya, and Hikari would say something too. It's like, well, you're a big mouth. You are like way too ambitious. So, Kotaro, please find it for me? I'll try. Well, I don't speak dog, but I would imagine he was saying something like, well, look, I would really like to help, but if it's not here, then it's not here. So the sun is setting, casting a shadow over the tall grass, worsening my visibility. Well, I guess we better start back up in the morning. And I'm starting to get to panic, and it's just about time to start my job. Well, I will find it, Saya, so don't worry. So don't worry, Saya, says Kotaro. So other than Saya, there are a bunch of Six Stars club members at the Sambai. So everyone had been handing out flyers at the station, but now we are just waiting inside the store for someone. And I wonder if that's Saya.
遅いですね。
Or Hikari.
準備って着替えるだけですよね。そんなに時間かかるんですか？
まさかおじけづいたんじゃ。
Okay, so it's not Hikari, so I'm sure it's Saya. Hikari sounds worried. Well, it's not out of the realm of possibility. So like Hikari, I am a little worried myself. Okay, so we're waiting for Miharu-sensei, or Miharu-san. So Hikari had seen Saya yesterday and had gotten permission to use her sketches to help convince Harbor Town. Today, we would pass them on to Miharu-san and she would take them to Harbor Town. And even though she is our advisor, we felt bad for giving her extra work and responsibility, so we had all come to send her off. But then again, Miharu isn't really doing much, so it's not much of a problem to have her do something that's meaningful instead of just lazing around. But she hasn't left her room yet, and after she said she needed to change.
なんかハーバータウンの知り合いにあんまり会いたくなさそうだったよね。
Yeah, isn't too happy about this. She hadn't told us who her acquaintance is, but it must have been someone she likes so much. And all the second years pretty much knew about Miharu-san. So the first years don't know her yet, so they don't really understand why we are worrying right now. And just then, Korona comes out from the entrance of the living quarters behind the store.
準備できたよ。
Okay, get ready. We all stood up and faced our teacher.
待たせたわね。
Okay, so I'm sure we know where this comes from. So Miharu-san comes out fidgeting with her hair like she is not able to calm down. So everyone jumps back with a surprise. And especially for Kawana Kajima.
あの人誰ですか？
While I didn't blame Kawakajina, she had come out looking like a completely different person than before. So not like that lazy Miharu.
何よ、その目は。
Oh, teacher! Hikari draws closer, and there is a tear hiding in her eye.
早乙女先生、お久しぶりです。覚えていますか？あなたの教え子のほうき星ひかりです。
And Hikari treats Miharu like she's a different person.
はあ？いつも会ってるでしょうが。
Well, you do look a little like a different person.
そう？まあ、今の流行からするとちょっと古いかもしれないわね。
But it looks better than what Miharu usually looks like. She said so as she looked at the clothes she is wearing. And to be honest, it would be hard to call what she normally wore any kind of fashion at all. But now she's sporting a natural look that made her look like a quite womanly sort of clothes. Let's see, hair, makeup, all added to the effect.
こんなにお綺麗な方だったんですね。
So Honoka Nod says in amazement. And I wonder what impression our former teacher has on the Grand Mako Academy girls.
この人が部長や先輩たちの先生なのですね。
So the first year students are looking at her with awe and gaze.
そうよ。早乙女先生は私たちの自慢だったんだから。
So Miharu-san looks fairly unpleasant when Hikari boasted of her.
普段から綺麗な先生でしょうに。さっきからなんか腹立つわね、あんたら。みはるちゃん、あんまり腕上げちゃダメだよ。
Wait, why?
もっとそうだった。
So she hurriedly fixed her skirt with her hands.
ウエストがきつくてボタンが止められないから安全ピンで止めてるんだよね。
Okay, so Miharu teacher did grow some fat and, well, I'm not going to say much, but she just couldn't fit in the skirt properly.
こら、バラすんじゃない。
And you don't have to tell them. So that's why it had taken so long.
この服、昔のだからしゃあないのよ。あんたらもわかるから、そのうち。人事じゃないんだからね、本当に。ウエストがきつくなってても、先生は私たちの先生だよ。嬉しい、帰ってきてくれて。
And like an excited child, Hikari is snapping pictures with her smartphone. It's like, I gotta remember this. I gotta take a picture of this special event.
やめて、ほきぼし。そのキラキラした目で見るの。それプレッシャーだから、また10円ハゲできるから。
So she rubs the back of her head, remembering the old trauma. Okay, here you are, ma'am. So I gave the sketches that Saya has lent to Hikari to Miharu sensei. Okay?
どうかよろしくお願いします。お願いします。
よろしくお願いします。
Okay, thanks. So our teacher is looking back at us like we are putting her under a lot of pressure as she put the journals into her bag.
行ってくるわ。
Okay, I'm off.
行ってらっしゃい。
And more pictures of teacher Miharu. So Miharu-san leaves carrying both our expectations and the future of the project on her shoulders. Okay, so for Saya, let's see how it goes from here. And it looks like she's back in her own room. So I left, thanking both Korona and her mother, and when I got home, I received a severe scolding from my own mother. So mom had misunderstood that Akito is the one that I'm dating, so she did apologize for some of the things that she had said. But I should not have run away, and I've caused a lot of trouble for Kusakabe-san and worried a lot of people. So I got a scolding for longer than I ever had before, and I also had been grounded for the foreseeable future. And I could help everybody from home though. So at least the parents feel that, well, Saya's home, so at least she's safe. And I could update the site and post the meteor shower observation tips comic that my club members had wrote, all from my room. And my club members are good at drawing manga, but they don't know about astronomy, so I was the one who drew the star backgrounds and the things like that.
少しでもみんなの役に立たないと。
So I gotta make up for my loss. Well, I don't want to hold anyone back anymore. And with that in mind, I started working on the computer when what happens?
光からだ。
So apparently I got a message from Hikari, but didn't have a title. So Hikari's so excited about Miharu Sensei dressing up like the old days that she gave a picture of it to Saya.
びっくりした。私たちの早乙女先生が帰ってきたんだよ。さやの星空スケッチ、先生が届けに行ってくれた。そのために昔の先生に戻ってくれたんだ。
So she'll be delivering your sketches in this form. So I saved the picture and sent a reply to Hikari.
ありがとう。写真送ってくれて。先生、やっぱり綺麗だね。なんだって私らの自慢の先生だからね。これはもう勝ったも同然だよ。きっとうまくいくから。
Okay. So Hikari has talked with me yesterday.
そしたらそこからまた始めよう。私たち3人を。
So we're flying or fixing our mistakes and starting anew. All of us. But we need courage to do so, and I seem to have lost my courage.
あとはアキトがサヤの落とし物を見つけてくれるだけだね。
So Hikari has said that Akito is looking, or Akito is aware of why that charm is important to me.
本当に気づいてるのかな。
But does he know what it looks like and why it's important and the details? So if Akun did find that for me So I turned those feelings into words and replied to Hikari.
お、返事来た。
Okay, she replied. Hikari looks over the message as she laughs and looks at me. So wait, so why are you laughing like this?
いや、アキトも見たいかなと思って。
Well, read it. Not really. So I wonder if I wonder if Aku knows what my charm looks like. Or what's in there. So I said curtly, looking away as Hikari shows me her phone.
信じてるもん。だって。
Okay, so there you go. One sentence. Well, of course she does. And with that, we got back to work, getting the word out for the upcoming Gemini meteor shower.
こんなこと急に言われても困らせてしまうかもしれないけど、私の気持ち知っててほしいので手紙に書きました。ずっと前から好きでした。付き合ってください。明日のお昼いつもの橋で待ってます。返事を聞かせてくれると嬉しいです。
Okay, so that was Saya's love letter. So I leaned against the rails and waited for a long time. And it was after graduation, but I wouldn't see kids going home with their families or any of my classmates. And the bridge connected the road to the mountains, and a few people came this way. I'm alone. So the sun is already setting. I look down the way towards Akun's home, but no one is coming this way. and I kicked a small rock on my feet. And it rolls away and stops right in front of the river. And I knew that, or he passed me up. And Saya is heartbroken. So I wiped away the coming tears and suddenly I felt embarrassed. So I put on my sunglasses. Okay, so no one can see my multicolored eyes. And then I walked home. I could control the warmth of my tears on my chest. And it was rather my fault for wanting something. And then I lost something important to me. So next time I ran... so the next time I saw Aki was a while after I wore a new school uniform and started going to a new school. So now they're in middle school. I didn't talk to him, but I just saw him from afar. So Saya was still looking after Akito. So Akito looked a bit more manly now with his slightly large uniform, and he looked stiff in it as he was walking with Take and some other boys. So did he grow a little too, so his uniform would fit perfectly in no time? So I was with my new girlfriends, but I still wasn't used to my uniform yet, and I just saw him to the distance. And he would not talk to me, because I had been turned down. And that's why I could only look at him from afar. So my new school is on the other side of the city, and it had a lot of classes. Akun is in a different class, so I didn't get to see him that much. So Akun and I became estranged. So when puberty hit everybody, so they're embarrassed to talk to the opposite sex, but it was awkward when I passed Akun in the halls, so I didn't make any eye contact. So Akun and I both made new friends, and we stopped looking at the stars. So time went by, and it was like I never knew a girl by the name of Hikari Hokiboshi. And during that time, I couldn't help but think about this one thing. So, would it have been different if Hikari was here, so Hikari went with us to the same middle school? Well, I'm sure she would get rid of the awkward tension and the three of us would be able to be friends again. And we would have fun doing something. That we would look up at the starry sky at night. Okay, so one night I looked up at the night sky and the number of stars decreased as I started sketching them. And I want to record my fading memories. I didn't want to lose any more than I already had. It looks like Akun forgot to look up. And I was chased out of Akun's life, and I was looking for him in the stars. And we drifted so far apart, it was hard to believe that we used to play together all the time. And I'm certain that we would stay this way forever. So I lost a lot, and I realized something. So growing up meant you kept losing both important and unimportant things. Okay, so Then something changed 2 years later. So what was the turning point? So right before graduation, so one day Akun missed school, and the teacher told us that Akun's grandfather had passed away. And Akun is living with him, and apparently there is a lot going on at home, so he missed school for a week. Take and the other guys treated Akun normally, like nothing had happened when he come back to school. And I felt really troubled looking at this, so I knew immediately that he was faking it. So whenever Akun is going through a tough time, he would always keep things in front and not ask for help. And Akun is so strong, he always tries to bear it with it like that. But what would happen to him if it was something that he could not handle by himself? And what if he is facing that right now? And this was the time when Saya started talking to Akito once again. So Akun looked around with surprise on his face. And of course he would. It had been 3 years since we talked. So I want to say something, I just want to help in some way, but I had no idea what to say, so I just stood there. And I diverted my gaze and tried my best to talk to him. So I want to say something, but I don't know how or what to say. So wait, so shouldn't he be bothered that I'm talking to him? I'm sure in secret he wants help, or as much help as he can, so that's why he doesn't really mind Saya talking to him. So we used to be close a long time ago, but we were not even friends then, or now. And I am the girl that he rejected. Oh, he said thank you. So I looked up in surprise as Akun opens his mouth. So he told me that if I hadn't been there, nobody would have taken care of him, and he might have died. So he thanked me. And his voice was wavering as if he was forcing his words out. And there are tears flowing down his cheek, or there were tears. So I start to panic. So Akun was always so strong and kind, no one ever saw him cry. And there he was, so crying right in front of me. So Saya knew that, well, even though Akun tries to act normally, I'm sure in his inner thoughts, he is really sad that his grandfather has passed. And I need to do something. So I had trouble coming up with words, but Akun quietly grabs my hand. So I had no idea what to say, but I wanted to tell him how I felt. So Akun forced a smile through his tears as I struggled to do anything. So Akun is quiet as we held hands like that for a while, quietly crying. And he stiffed his voice so nobody would hear him, or stifled. But I did hear. I felt his heart waver through his hand. So after that, Akun and I are back, or we're back on speaking terms. But I think it's are back. So there are still a few clumsy and awkward moments, like when Take is around, So Akito acted differently. But we only had 1 month left together in the same school. So we had already finished our entry exams, and I was going to Seisen Girls to become a teacher, and Akun went to Hoshidaiichi. And part of the reason why I went to Seisen was because it was hard being around Akun, but not being able to talk to him. So I would come to regret that choice a lot. Well, at least Saya's getting better education because Seisen Girls is a more prestigious school and it's more competitive, and the academic studies are much harder. So spring comes and some time passes since everybody went to different schools.
天文部に入ることにした？
And now in high school, Saya is visiting Akito regularly. Yep. So it's like that the Satomi store had been worn again after the refurbishment, but Akun talked like it was no big deal. I tried my best not to ask him with the elated surprise that I actually felt.
じゃあまた星を見るの？
No. So like, you're in the astronomy club but you don't look at stars.
じゃあどうして天文部に？
There you go. So Akun just smiles as he replies, well, I can live in the club room. And that's a really bad reason. Okay, so this is my new home. Okay, so I'm going to leave the rest to next episode. And I'm sure the little history about Saya and Akito's reunion will continue. So it's a not so good excuse about why you want to be in the astronomy club just because you want to use the facilities and live there, under the idea that, well, I'm going to do stargazing at night, and that allows me to be on campus after hours. So anyways, it looks like things are getting better with Saya and the rest of the people, now that Hikari has finally found Saya in Korona's room, and now that Saya is able to go home to her own room. So we'll see how all this comes down, and whether or not Akito will find that luck charm that Saya really treasures and wants to have. So I'm not sure what's in the luck charm or what's special about it, but just remind me of Loke Love a little bit, so Volume 1. And in that title, the luck charm was known to give misfortunes, and people avoided it. But there was one person who believed in it and kept it all the way through. And the main character, Ichitaro, thought, well, is he using this to get away from me? And I'm not going to give you the answer because I did play that title on this channel, so you can go watch that if you're interested. And anyways, with that said, I'll see you in the next episode.